Hello. I'm sure that intro felt a bit shorter last time. It's me, Lance Nielsen of the Outcasts Creative, doing my weekly roundup. Won't be too long today, under an hour probably. We're talking about all things film and TV. I haven't seen any theatre this week, so film and TV that I've seen this week and my guest co-host has seen once again. I've got MovieGuy24 in the house. Welcome, George.
Hi, everybody.
All the way from the United States. Is it you that was in Wyoming, or was that nerd girl that was in Wyoming? I forget now.
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, that was it. I was getting people mixed up. Right, well, we're going to talk about various things that we've both seen this week. We haven't seen the same stuff necessarily, but that's okay. I think that's, in some ways, that's kind of better.
I did actually watch something I think you mentioned last week. You were talking about The Night Agent.
Yeah, I talked about that on Positive Fandom's stream, I think, and I did briefly mention it in I think it might have been my weekly roundup a couple of weeks ago. Well, yeah, what did you think? What did you think of it?
I've only seen the first 6 episodes, so please no spoilers.
Right.
But what I've seen so far, it's awesome.
Okay. Really, I thought it was a bit run of the mill initially, but once that assassin couple kind of got in the show,
oh yeah,
I really like them. They just give it something that most shows like that don't have, without becoming too comical. So I found that they fitted in the show really well, and they so could have made it sort of silly and been a parody of themselves, but actually for me they were what made me want to watch the show and sort of pay a bit more attention to it, because I had it on in the background initially, and then I was like, it passed my test of distracting me from work, so I turned it off and then watched it properly. Yeah, I give it 7.5 out of 10, 8 maybe. Does what it says on the tin. And actually, the lead actor, he really grew on me as the show went on. What do you think of him?
I think he's good. I don't know if he's, like top tier actor, but he's good for the role. He's good in the role.
It's funny because it's almost like somebody said on the casting session, because it feels very Born Identity. That it's that kind of tone, the show.
Yes.
And it feels like someone said to the casting director, "Get us a Matt Damon lookalike," and that's what they did, and they got this chap in. We've also got Copa Catania's in the house. He's arrived.
Hey, how you doing?
I didn't think you were going to make it today.
I didn't think so either, but I got my timing wrong. I just saw your show pop up, and I was like, "Oh, I could get on right now." So here I am.
Ah, great. Well, there we go. I got two of my American cousins in the house.
Nice to meet you, George.
You too, Copa.
So George is known as Movie Guy 24/7. He's actually been on my friends list for quite a while,
Okay.
And is a huge film nerd. Goes to the cinema even more than I do.
That's impossible, but okay.
Well, I haven't been that much since the lockdown came off, because I can't afford it. Because the rising cost of living, my rent's gone up, everything's gone up. I just like cinema is a luxury, buying Blu-rays is a luxury. And the only time I've bought them now is when I'm featuring them on the show. I can't afford to just buy the things I want anymore. It's just we live in very restrictive times financially.
I've been getting good luck in like secondhand bookstores and stuff like that with Blu-rays are concerned. I have been finding some real good gems. Like I got not the Alien box set, but Alien and Alien separately, the special collector's box set. It has lithographs in it and everything like that. Wow. Both of them. I got them for like find. Yeah, I got them for like $5 each. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, I didn't even know these things existed. I always thought like you got the lithographs with the quadrilogy box set, not just individually. But yeah, $10. I got both of them.
I'm going to re-edit my banner quickly and put you both on there. So let's do movies first, because I've I think I've watched mainly TV shows this week. So George, you didn't see Dungeons and Dragons. Have you seen anything else?
Well, I also saw Spinning Gold. That's the story of Casablanca Records.
Okay.
Oh.
I was disappointed.
Don't talk about it yet.
Okay.
So you've seen D&D and Spinning Gold.
That's correct.
Was that it?
Well, I also saw the biblical drama His Only Son, but
yeah, we're not going to be talking about that. Okay,
good.
And
it's bad.
Dry British humour there.
Yeah.
And Copa, what have you seen at the cinema?
Film wise, nothing new. The most recent film I can think I watched was Rear Window. So or not Rear Window, but North by Northwest.
Oh, as in the original.
Oh yes.
Oh right, okay. So that was you just watched that at home, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I just watched it at home. With the baby coming soon and stuff like that. There's no time for me to get to the cinema as much as I want to.
No.
What?
You've got to prepare your baby's watch list of movies as well.
Oh, so, I know. Yeah. Oh, she's got a watch list, that's for sure. Between her mother and I, her mother is a big action junkie as well, and a horror junkie. She's definitely got a growing watch list when she's of age, of course. But the one I want to get to is John Wick 4. I hear there's not too many problems with it, except for the same problems 3 carried along. But
I talked about that last week because I talked about it on it was on someone else's show. Sorry, I talked about it on Sunday on Positive Fandom show. Can't keep up with which stream is which now. I think I talked about it on my weekly roundup as well. I give it an 8 out of 10. I mean, it's just batshit nuts as a film, but I did find that the more crazy that they made the action and the more bulletproof everybody seemed to be with their suits and things, the more it diminished the tension, the less exciting it became, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the same problem I had with 3 from what I'm hearing with 4 is to shrink. They got to get back to shrinking the world down and making his actions more intimate in nature, his motives more intimate in nature, other than trying to survive or smash this entire system or anything like that. You got to remember, we started off with a guy just losing his wife and them killing his dog and taking his car. That's how we started. Now we got this whole intricate plot.
Now he's kind of like a sort of super James Bond special agent with multiple combat abilities who can take down an army of 200 people in a single scene, you know.
Exactly.
Is that, George, do you sort of agree with that criticism? Because I know you've seen it.
Well, what they say about keeping it smaller, that seemed to work for the first John Wick. They went nuts with the 2, 3, and 4. And, if I know they're doing a spin-off.
2.
Donnie Yen's getting a spin-off, right? Donnie Yen?
No,
it's called Ballerina. Apparently it has something to do with his mother was watching dancers in that one movie. I think they're going to go with that. They're going to pick a woman who's avenging her family.
So they're doing a female John Wick spin-off, basically.
Right. But then there's another spin-off TV series, a mini series called The Continental, which is about the origins of the Continental, and that stars Mel Gibson.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Peacock. I want to say it's anywhere between 8 to 12 or 8 to 10 episodes in length, and that's it. And it's the rise of I can't remember his character's name.
Sharon, or the
guy
guy
played by the British actor.
The British actor who's in
Shane.
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane.
Yeah,
so it's Ian McShane. It's like his rise to controlling the Continental, but I think Mel Gibson is running it at first.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Mel Gibson will be playing a younger version of Ian McShane somehow.
No.
That doesn't seem too likely.
I don't know. The way modern entertainment goes, they might try something like that.
I mean, it could be really good. It's a shame that Lance Reddick won't be in it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they'll recast him or if they'll just like. I think it would be better if he just wasn't in it and his story sort of takes place. He would arrive after, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that would work as it's a prequel series, I suppose. All right. Well, let's talk about the more recent stuff. Okay, so George, what's the verdict on the D&D film then?
I liked it more than I thought I would. It's fun and it's enjoyable. Yeah, it's CGI heavy, very much so.
Yeah.
And it's very kind of jokey, you know, the wisecracking hero. It's like I thought. It's got, you know, the way they talk, it's very anachronistic, you know, modern speak in a medieval situation.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you just kind of forget all that and just give yourself over, it's kind of fun. I gave it 3 out of 4 stars. It's entertaining.
Yeah, because I think the script's it's quite a decent script, sort of quite witty and silly. Tonally,
Yeah, silly is a good word for it. Yes.
Are you going to go and see it, Copa? Do you think?
I'll probably see it eventually. What's shocking to me about Dungeons and Dragons, and this is where I'm kind of coming from, this angle, is we were all prepared for the worst with the emasculation of males and stuff like that, and the way that it was marketed. Yeah. So we were all, seems like people who went and saw it were pleasantly surprised they didn't get some like woke nonsense. And I'm wondering if that was actually the marketing ploy, which was prepare yourself for woke nonsense, and then when it comes out to be just okay, the fan base goes, "Oh, it was excellent. There was no woke nonsense in it." I don't know. Like, I'm interested.
You might be crediting them with too much intelligence there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Schemes, but I mean, you might be right about that. I think they just got lucky.
Okay. Yeah. I'm interested in seeing it and seeing just how okay it is. I kind of want to let the fanfare die off. I'm sure it's going to be streaming in about a month, anyways.
I won't be going. I can't be going to the cinema to see it, but I will check it out. Did you guys play D&D when you were younger?
No.
No? Oh man, guilty as charged.
Okay.
I ran the entire Dragonlance campaign, which before it was a series of endless books, was just a D&D adventure module, and there were 12 of them, and they came out over a period of about 4 years. They were releasing them about one every two or 3 months, I think. And we did the whole thing. We did the whole campaign right from the humble beginnings to the very end. And quite a few of the characters that sort of lived through the books got killed in our campaign and didn't make it, you know. That was the last game of D&D I ever played, and I think it was the last time I ever played a role-playing game, actually, because I only play board games now. I don't do them now. But okay, well, let's now, George, you don't watch The Mandalorian, do you?
We're gonna wait till, you know, the whole series is, you know, available, then we'll binge watch it.
Okay, that way you can really put yourself through extensive torture in a single session.
It's not good.
I just saw the latest episode today. I have some major issues with it.
This is it. This is the episode that they jumped the shark. This is the episode everybody's going to look back on and say, that's the episode that ruined the entire series.
I don't know that I'd go that far, but I know you've got stronger opinions on this than me, Cope, because I've seen your other videos. And I'm a bit more... I mean, my take on this whole sort of debacle where kind of Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett and the Mando series is concerned is there isn't one person steering the ship. It feels like the whole show feels like it's been made by committee and different people are pulling in different directions, and the show lacks a cohesive vision. It lacks a cohesive narrative.
Yeah, it does. I agree with you. It seems like Favreau had some sort of voice in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, because the first season was pretty good. I quite like the
and so
first season.
I like there is elements to the second season that I thoroughly enjoyed, but
yeah,
this third season definitely feels like it is data, numbers driven, and marketing driven.
I mean, it feels to me like somebody was walking along the corridor with the scripts for the, 3 different shows, and they tripped and they all went flying in the air, and they just picked them up any old fashion. Don't worry, it will work, and just put it out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's look, and I don't want to. I know it takes a lot of work working in the industry myself. I know it takes a huge amount of work to pull off anything these days, but this is the top end of the industry. This is ILM. This is Star Wars, the IP. This is Disney. These are people who have huge amounts of money, who can employ the best writers in the business, the best script writers, the best everything. And I would be forgiving of the heaviness of the CGI if the scripts were totally on point. But I do find it a very sterile show to watch, because I can tell that they're almost never on location. They're in that 360 room that the
volume.
Is that what it's called? The volume?
Yeah, they call it the volume.
Yeah, and I mean, they shoot I think they shoot something like 90% of the show in that thing.
Oh, you can tell.
Yeah.
There's only one scene in this episode that is not in the volume, and then that looks like it's in a local park or at a practice field on a high school, and that's towards the end of the episode. That was only
where they're walking on the grass.
Yeah, where she fights. I can't remember his name. Wolves at the end.
Yeah, no. That scene is in that thing.
You think so? I'm pretty sure that's on location.
No. They import the grass, put it on the ground in the. Oh. Have you seen that? Have you seen the making of the history of Ireland, the documentary? It's like 6 parts or 4 parts. Yeah. I saw when I was watching that, I noticed that they had different ground textures they'd bring into the studio and put them down. I'm pretty sure they just put grass in, and I was looking at the background of those shots, and to see how the trees were moving and stuff like that. And I mean, their stuff is really good. So like I said, I wouldn't be whinging about the CGI. Nice to see you, Sir Clueless. If it was, the show was better done, but oh man, did you spot the Vespers? They made an appearance.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and it was during the trace scene, and I was going, "Don't jump on that," and they didn't. But they had like a row of them all neatly lined up.
It felt like it was, man. The whole show feels like a trick, one big trick on you. But to go back to what you're saying, I wouldn't mind the terrible CGI, the CW like CGI, if there was a good story attached. You can always forgive like budget when there's a nice little story involved. It's just incredible to me that this show is only Jon Favreau in name only at this point.
Yeah, well, it feels like it.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can I say about this? I mean, this episode, I don't want to spoil it for George, who hasn't seen it. This episode is basically another side quest. You've got 2 big cameos in it. Jack Black is one of them, and the other one is Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, no. Oh, wait, there's a third one. Lizzo is Jack Black's wife.
Who is that?
Lizzo is a rap artist. I hate to say artist, but she's a rapper
and she's a flautist too. She plays the flute.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought her acting was below par, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. This is about as bad as Stacey Abrams' cameo in Star Trek Discovery.
I'm not sure I've seen that. Don't think I've seen that.
She was the president of the Galactic Federation, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think you have them in America, but over here at Christmas we have something called pantomimes, and in the pantomimes there's always a villain, and when that person walks on stage, they've usually got a big loud costume on, and they usually have a really, like, if it's a guy, they'll usually have a big long drooping mustache. And there's a phrase that comes with that, you know, he entered stage twiddling his mustache, which is a phrase for sort of over the top camp acting in a pantomime. And I mean, Jack Black might as well have walked on the set of a panto, because I mean, you know, I was just waiting for him to play with his beard.
Yeah.
And I just, the two of them were really weak together, because she's not a strong actress and couldn't put anything in, couldn't make her lines. It was literally just like reading off the page. She couldn't do anything with her dialogue. Not that dialogue was great, but
they really tried to make that walk and talk, back and forth banter work for the two of them, and it fell so flat on its face that I was actually physically getting upset that the scene was still going on.
Right. Yeah. Well, I wasn't massively impressed with that. Christopher Lloyd is good in anything. Him on his worst day is better than most sort of actors on their best day. But they didn't give him anything to do. He had like 2 really super short scenes with almost no dialogue, and the dialogue in his second scene was dire. It was so bad. It was like, please, yes, forgive me. I only wish to serve. Oh, well, you know, perhaps in time you can be our friend. But in the meantime, you're going to go off to the planet Prison Zardoz or whatever.
Zardoz, yeah.
You know, it wasn't called that. But
no, but by the time you get to that part,
who wrote this dialogue? This dialogue's awful.
AI. It really feels like they're getting their dialogue written by AI at this point.
It was, well, it might as well be, because it was so bad. And look, I'm not really you know, I'm not pushing my channel in the direction of let's all come on and bash something, but this annoys me because they've got no excuse. They don't have any excuse, and I don't know what's going on there at Disney.
When I started my reviews of The Mandalorian season 3, I wasn't going, oh, you know what? It would be nice to just sit here and bash the show.
No,
they're the ones who took this show in a direction that, you know, by episode 3, I wanted to bash. And now I hope it gets canceled with this episode. This episode is the one, for me at least. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I'm going to finish out the 2 episodes because I said I'm going to review the entire season. But after this season, I'm out. I can't do any more. I can't do any more Disney Star Wars. They've ruined the entire experience.
Right.
Just like Puppets in Politics said in the chat here, Star Wars is now an aesthetic if they get it right. But sometimes they don't even get it right. Like the last episode we watched, the Star Wars aesthetic wasn't there. It was an office building dressed to look like it was something futuristic.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And Vespers also don't really belong in the Star Wars universe, you know.
Stop it with the Vespas.
Well, I mean, just don't show like historical Earth influences, because, you know, I mean, I know they take things from different cultures for designs and stuff, but don't have something that obvious. It would be like having a Mustang speeder car, you know,
right?
And it's like, well, Earth isn't in the Star Wars universe, so
or a giant crocodile attacking the camp.
I will agree that Disney has taken like the special quality from Star Wars. Remember back in the day when a new Star Wars movie was like totally an event?
Yeah.
And Disney got their meat hooks on it, and suddenly it's like, well, we're going to do one Star Wars movie every year. We're going to do spin-offs. And I said at that point, you're going to kill the franchise. And sure as I'm sitting here with that Solo movie, they killed the franchise. It made like, 200 mil or whatever it made. That's not chump change, but it's far less than the other movies made.
Well, it's with that, but with the budget the way it was, it didn't even make any kind of, I believe it lost money.
I'm sure not mistaken.
Did. Solo did. And that's the thing too. I remember, you know, I was a little too young for Return of the Jedi. I was maybe 1 or 2 years old when it came out. But I remember when Phantom Menace was gearing up to come out, and the excitement was palpable everywhere. Everybody watched that trailer millions of times. It was just when the internet was getting good enough to where you can watch video. I remember watching that video over and over again, getting excited for Star Wars. Now, say what you want about the Phantom Menace, but I remember the excitement being there. I remember the excitement being there for episode 2 and episode 3 as well.
Well, I camped out for tickets for a Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
What was funny was, so I just saw, I had a few friends say, well, can you grab me tickets? So the plan was I was going to camp out in front of the theater. Well, I get to the theater and every door has this Xerox sign, no camping out. Tickets go on sale tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. If anybody shows up beforehand, you'll be escorted off the property by the police.
Really?
So there was a construction site across the street.
Right.
With some woods. So I went over there and I camped myself in that area in a shed. Now, what was messed up about that was I had literally just seen the Blair Witch Project. So I'm sitting there in the dark woods and I'm thinking it was a sucky movie, but this is kind of freaky.
Yeah.
Finally, at 5 a.m., I said, look, man, I'm just going to go over to the theater. I went there and there were already 3 people there. I still wasn't first in line, but you know what? I was right there at the head of it. Tickets went on sale at 3. By the time 3 o'clock rolled around, you wouldn't believe the line that's all around the parking lot. I mean, everybody and their brother showed up, and it was something. Now, the law of diminishing returns. When episode 2 came out a few years later,
mm-hmm.
I showed up there that morning. There were only a few people in line ahead of me. The line built up, but it wasn't like it was for Phantom Menace. Now, when episode 3 came out, I called the theater to find out when tickets go on sale. Oh, they're on sale already. I was like, oh, really? So how sold out are they? We're showing it in like 5 or 6 theaters, something like that. We've got a ton of tickets. Just come down and buy what you want.
Right.
All the rules that they had with the Phantom Menace, like you can only buy so many tickets, you can't have student or senior discounts. Everything was out the window.
Yeah, I want to say Phantom Menace was at least my first experience with people camping out for movie tickets. I can't remember a movie prior to that since me going to the movies by myself where people actually camped out for days to get tickets. It was like a rock star event.
Yeah, I've never seen it before or since. So.
Right.
I just used to go down to the actual cinema in person and get the tickets like a day or so after they went on sale for the opening night. But the last movies I did that for, like, way ahead of time, was the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I was there at the opening night, Leicester Square, of every single one of those films. God, what an atmosphere. Never forget that.
I can tell you stories about the Star Wars Phantom Menace screening for critics, but I can save that story for another time because that's not exactly the topic of this cast.
I will say the one thing that I'm enjoying more than I thought I would, by the way, here's my tickets for Epcot and Magic Kingdom when I went there in 1988 from my diary, which I just knocked on the floor, which is why I had to turn my camera off. Everything fell out of it.
Oh no, it's just like the Mandalorian script.
Yeah, like I was talking you. See, I set myself up for that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because the sellotape that was holding everything in here is, some 20-something, however many years old, 30 years old even, and of course it's not really sticking anything down. And now it's all the postcards have just fallen out.
I think this is a secret Lance promotion of his book 1980.
It is. It was all just tied into that. Going back to Star Wars, I've been watching The Bad Batch. I'm not on season 2, which is the new one. I'm on season 1. There's a lot of episodes. I'm on about episode 16, and I know it's animation and all the rest of it, and some people just don't dig animated Star Wars, but I actually really like it. I'll tell you why, because I wasn't mad about the prequels when I saw them, and trade talks and all of that kind of thing, and the robots annoyed me, and the CGI looks awful now, but they've taken that storyline and they've used it and they've made it really interesting. And one of the things that just happened, for example, is that they just covered up how the clone army was constructed at Camino, and it covers all the sort of dark shenanigans that go on behind the scene while everything on the surface is carrying on after the second film in the trilogy, which is when it's mostly set, I think, between the second and third. So, and I like the characters. They, there's a squad of troopers. They make them stand out. They're all very different. They've all got a really distinctive voices with the actors. And I just like the shots. I like the way that they've done the scenery, and it's the music is very Star Warsy. It just feels like a Star Wars show, and it's amazing that show, which a lot of people aren't watching, I feel is just so much better than The Mandalorian, and also so much more Star Wars. So I don't know if you guys have either of you guys watched it at all?
No. Is the Bad Batch sort of in parallel to the Dirty Dozen or something?
It's basically about a squad of clone troopers who the kind of things that they've got in their head, the chips, when Order 66 comes through, they malfunction.
Oh, okay.
So they don't
okay.
So they don't get the order, and so they don't therefore go and kill the Jedi that they were supposed to.
Hence the Bad Batch.
And that, and it's actually a really good premise for a show, and I really like it. And they sort of spend the rest of the show kind of hiding, and they rescue I think they rescue like a Force-sensitive youngling who kind of becomes part of their company, and they're trying to hide her from being recaptured, and various other characters from some of the books and things pop up in it. But I think it's just quite good. It took a while to grow on me. I used to kind of have it on in the background and wouldn't watch it properly. And then slowly I started getting into it. I thought, I'm going to have to stop this now, because I'm going to have to stop working and watch it later, because it's distracting me now. But I'd give it a go. It's pretty good, I think.
I'll check it out.
And I'm going to certainly watch season 2. We can talk about that another time. Are you watching that, George?
The Bad Batch?
Yeah.
No.
Well, we'll move on then. That's probably Star Wars done for the day. We haven't got anything else Star Wars related, have we? I don't think. So, all right. So the other movies. So you saw D&D. Copa's seen North by Northwest, which we could do a whole separate stream about. Why that's an absolutely amazing film, and thank God it hasn't been remade.
Not yet.
Has any? Now I've seen I've seen not yet. No.
Well, here's the thing. You kind of say that in jest, but I just got word that Robert Downey Jr. is trying to remake Vertigo.
I heard that weeks ago. He's going to play the Jimmy Stewart role.
Yeah.
And this is so wrong on so many levels.
You don't mess with the classics, right?
I like Robert Downey Jr. as an actor, but I think he's making a big career mistake if he's going to attempt to recreate Jimmy Stewart. I mean, the comparisons will be inevitable. Stewart will come out on top. It's just a bad idea all around.
Not, I as you can tell from my silence, I'm not enamored by this idea. No. So, I mean, where's it at in terms of production?
I've only heard that it's in the planning stage. That's all I heard.
Yeah, it's in pre-production.
So do you guys remember a 1985 movie with James Spader called Tough Turf?
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that film as well. I knew you would, George. Do you know that that's one of the first movies that Robert Downey Jr. was ever in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I as you brought him up, I've got to show this picture, because I think a lot of people haven't even seen that movie, and it's quite hard to get hold of. And the female lead, she's in like Desperate LA Housewives or something, isn't she?
Her name is Kim Richards.
Kim Richards, who was in Escape from Witch Mountain.
And the sequel, Return to Witch Mountain.
And the sequel, yeah, with guys on my friends list on Facebook, the actor that was in Wrath of Khan. There he is. And he's playing the drums for the band in the scene with the band, and he kind of falls over.
My.
I know, right?
He's so shiny.
Well, it's the 80s. Everything's very camp and gay back then. So
yeah.
And there's a kind of still of the whole cast. I really liked that movie. I thought it was good.
They look so tough on their turf.
and the villain, one of the villain, I think the main villain, I think he might have been in Streets of Fire, although he might just look like the guy from Streets of Fire when they go into the bar and try and aggravate the waitress, and Tom Cody knocks them all out with the hat stand.
Yeah.
His name is Paul Moniz.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Was he in Streets of
I believe he was.
I think he was the leader of that gang. Yeah, when he goes, when I forget what the gang's called. When we're hungry, we're going to eat, and all this kind of thing. So
man, Streets of Fire. That was an interesting premise, interesting movie, interesting the way they did it.
I have the Blu-ray of it right here, and I'm going to do a retro review of it soon. So if you guys want to be on that stream, let me know, and we'll see which obscure member of the cast I might be able to get on. I'm sure there'll be somebody.
You guys, I have to say, you two killed it with your interviews of that large ensemble the other day.
That was crazy. I mean, I kind of realized about sort of 15-20 minutes in that basically Wanda D's husband had given out the link to like everybody he knew.
Right.
So I thought, okay, we're going to have, I mean, fortunately, nearly all the people that came on, even though they weren't necessarily in the film, they were all connected to the business in some way, being choreographers or singers or rappers. But it was just interesting because we had all these different people, and they were all of that age. They were all of the same sort of age group. So they all knew of the film and went to see the film. But I did have to fly by the seat of my pants a bit, but it was.
No, you did perfect. Both of you.
It was great. It was great, and it was great having Retro Nerd Girl on for the first time. She's such a nice person, and
yeah, she was wonderful too.
Yeah. I watched the Flash Gordon stream the other night, which was hilarious.
Okay.
But
was it the 30s version?
Yeah, she does watch parties with them, and the 30s one with the.
Okay.
Yeah, the old Hollywood
where you can see the ships flying, but the strings are attached to it and everything.
Yeah,
I love it.
Sean says the Bad Batch also ties into Star Wars Rebels. Yeah, I think Star Wars Rebels is good. I watched the whole thing. Rebels also picks up other crossover characters. That's right.
That's another thing I'm getting tired of with Disney Star Wars is they're trying to do this Marvel thing where they tie in every little piece of the universe together.
I know.
So you have to watch Star Wars Rebels. You have to watch the Bad Batch, the Clone Wars, Book of Boba Fett to understand what's going on in the Mandalorian. I don't have that kind of time, and neither does anybody else. And if your show heavily relies on me watching another show to get what's going on in your show sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind things tying in. I don't mind new characters maybe being introduced at some stage or at the end of a season to set up something else. I don't mind that as long as the season has a centric narrative that focuses on who the show is supposed to be about.
Right.
And I've heard other people say this, but Mandalorian, he feels like a guest in his own show again. And also in this episode, the latest episode, again, it's his sidekick that's making all the decisions and doing all the action. And,
right.
And they can't use the excuse that what's his name is getting on a bit because it's not even him in the suit most of the time.
No, it's
his stunt double.
John Wayne's great grandson is in the suit.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you watch him walk, if you ever watch a Mandalorian walk, you're like, oh my God, he walks like John Wayne.
That's right. That's interesting.
I'm looking at that when I see it.
Yeah, when you watch it with a wide shot of the Mandalorian walking somewhere, and you go, "Wow, he's got that John Wayne strut."
Groovy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on from Star Wars, I'm going to talk about Tetris quickly because it's one of the things on my list, and then George will come back to you with Spinning Gold. I'll talk about this quickly. This is basically, it's a great vehicle for Taron Egerton, who I've met in person, absolutely lovely guy. And once again, he shows his versatility and his acting chops. Clan Copa popping in again. There we go. Cannoli Sasquatch, what a great name. This is the true story of how Tetris came to be. I didn't know until I watched this film, I've got to admit, that I didn't know that Tetris was invented by a Russian. And he invented the game and passed it around his work colleagues, and Russian Politburo or whatever got very pissed off because the work productivity of all the people that had it diminished because they were all on their computer playing Tetris, which was kind of funny to find out. So this isn't the story of the guy who invented it because he's a side character in the story. it's the story of the guy who acquired the rights and sold the game worldwide, and the various other characters who fought over for the rights in the show. It's got a pretty good supporting cast. Got a number of, pretty significant big names in there. We've got Toby Jones in there. I've listed these in a very strange order. Let's get the main list up. Toby Jones is playing Robert Stein, who is the first guy that sort of came across the game. Toby Jones is an absolutely awesome actor, in my opinion. Don't know if you guys watch The Detectorists. Do you watch that show, British show about two men metal detecting? You'd never think that.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it. It's on my watch list.
You've got to watch it, guys. You'd never think that a show about two guys metal detecting could be both so funny and so moving.
I've heard that's one of the funniest shows of all time.
You've got the fantastic Roger Allam, who I actually wrote a movie for, funnily enough. He's married to a friend of mine's sister, Roger Allam. Fantastic actor. He's playing Robert Maxwell in it. And, of course, in real life, Robert Maxwell was a horrendous tyrant. And he's in quite a bit of makeup. He's brilliant as Maxwell. I'm trying to see if there's a shot of him as Maxwell on his, maybe there'll be one on the actual film page. So he's very good. People may remember him as the Queen's footman in The Queen. I think he's played a secretary, a private secretary, rather than footman. And then, you've got some good Russian actors that have done a lot of work. I mean, it's a good film. It just depends how interested you are in learning the story of Tetris, basically. You might not be.
Is there real excitement to the making of Tetris, or at least?
Well, I mean, they put in a car chase, in the last 20 minutes that just never happened in history.
Okay.
And it's another film critic compared it to that scene in the film where they're getting the Canadians out of Iran.
Argo. Yeah.
Compared it to that scene where they're racing to the airport to kind of stop the plane,
right,
to make the ending a bit more spicy, and that actually never happened. They didn't even realize they'd left the country until it was too late. But it's really well acted. It is quite funny in places, and a lot of the humor really comes from seeing how the Russians are trying to play it to, because they're all corrupt and they're trying to get money out of the whole situation. So I give Taran's acting in it 9 out of 10, but I give the film probably 7. It's good, but I'm not going to watch it again or go out and buy the Blu-ray. But worth seeing. What other TV shows or films have you guys watched this week? Copa, you first.
So other than The Mandalorian, I watched a ton of Star Trek, the original series, to catch up on for a different stream, and that was a blast. We didn't cover all the shows we wanted to cover, so we're having a part 2. But
right,
yeah.
Oh man, you should get me on that. I'll be up for that.
I'll let the guy know. I'll let the guy know, and maybe we can work something out.
You're talking to a man who's got 150 Star Trek models in the next room on the shelves.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm a novice compared to everybody else. I could say an episode probably to someone like you, and top down what that episode's about, who starred in it, the trivia behind it. Me, I had to do my research.
Original series, I'm a bit rusty. I think there's even a couple of episodes of the original series that I might not have seen.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You'll do fine on this show.
I've got it all, but I've never sat down and gone through it, and because it was repeated when we were kids in the late 70s, I think. So I caught it when it was on.
Right.
I didn't buy the videos when they came out. I got the Blu-ray set, which has got some episodes with updated effects, and you can choose whether to watch them with or without, and that kind of stuff. Hey, Darth Plato, good to see you, man.
I was told that Star Trek led into Doctor Who back in the day for you guys.
No, Doctor Who, I think was Doctor Who came out before Star Trek, I think.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong about that, actually. Well, Star Trek was the 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
yeah,
I thought I heard that repeated episodes of Star Trek came on right before a new episode of Doctor Who started.
Oh, I see. In terms of the air dates.
Yeah.
Doctor Who was predominantly on a Saturday at 5:30, if I remember rightly. That was when it was the early seasons. I can't remember when the first episode. The ones that I were watching were John Pertwee, the end of John Pertwee era. I caught like the last season of that, and I had to beg my parents to stay up late to watch it because it was on quite late.
Right.
For a 5-year-old, it was on late.
Right.
Not like 5-year-olds today who stay up till midnight playing PlayStation. David, you're almost right. The first episode of Doctor Who was broadcast in '63. It was, I think, it went into production in '62. And so when was the first episode of Star Trek broadcast?
I want to say it was
in the US in '64, I believe.
64.
I think it was 64. So actually, Doctor Who started first. 66.
But I
I
wonder when did it start airing in Great Britain?
I don't know, but I know that when I watched the Star Trek episodes, my dad had seen most of them already. So he must have watched it when it was first broadcast in the 60s. Because he quite liked anything to do with future technology. I wouldn't say he was a sci-fi nerd, but back then people perceived Star Trek as future technology, didn't they? Well, we have to do a separate stream about that. So you've been watching old school Star Trek. Did you watch an episode that you hadn't seen in a long time that you thought, damn, this is good, before we move on?
Yeah, I can't remember the episode, but here.
What happens in it?
So it's a rock planet, and the alien, I'm sure someone in the chat is going to scream the name, but it's a alien planet, and this creature chews through rock. And it turns out that the creature he's killing a bunch of people, colonists. But it turns out that the colonists have injured this alien. So instead of killing it or whatever, Spock and Kirk try to save it. And towards the end of the episode, they make amends with the alien race. The colonists are mining for, the creature like excretes. So they make a deal that they live in harmony while the colonists are there. Now,
isn't that the episode called? It's like set in the tunnels, and the creature is actually pregnant and it's protecting.
Yeah, it's laying all these eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I bring it up is because when I watched it, I haven't watched Star Trek in like maybe 2 or 3 years, and then this was the first episode I watched to do a little bit of research, and had strong alien vibes. You can tell that Dan O'Bannon got a lot of ideas from this episode. It secreted acid, or not? Yeah, no, it dissolved people like acid. Secrete acid.
You had like the burn marks of the bodies.
Yeah. So you had that. It was hiding in the tunnels. It was pregnant. It was releasing all these eggs. It just had such strong alien vibes. You could tell that that was the origin for aliens. So that was the one that like stuck out to me because I totally forgot about that episode. We also covered the episode where Spock fights Kirk for his Ponfar. What else was there? My episode was the Gorn episode because I just like how cheeseball was.
The fight scene.
Yeah, I mean, I just
has not aged well.
No. Gorn is awful. But if anybody knows me, I either like really, really good movies, but if you're going to have a really bad movie, just if you cheese it up so bad, it's good for me. And the Gorn episode just makes me laugh. I love it every time I watch it. Arena is the episode that was called. Yeah, and that was the first. And Darth Plato's right. So that was the first time in the episode I was previously talking about. Turnabout Intruder, I think, is the episode. That's the first time you had Spock say, I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
Yeah, which is a great line.
Yeah. And that was the first time you had what you call it? I can't remember the doctor's name. Why is it escaping?
McCoy.
McCoy. Yeah, that was the first time you had McCoy use that line.
Right. And there was like a little bit of music that went and he raised his eyebrow.
Yeah.
That's what normally happens. I think I have a feeling. You see, I thought so. We've got the wrong. Sorry to contradict you, Darth Plato, but that's not Turnabout Intruder. The episode that we're talking about is The Devil in the Dark.
Devil in the Dark. That's it.
Yeah, because I knew it had a title that related to kind of the creepiness of the tunnels.
Yeah. And
I remember when I watched that episode as a kid, I actually found it quite scary. There's the Wikipedia entry on the
but
episode.
they also have metal or motion detectors trying to find this thing too. So it's just all very Alien. If anybody goes back and watches that episode, it's such a parallel to Alien that Dan O'Bannon, that's where he got his ideas from.
A Star Trek convention that I wandered into for free accidentally a couple of years ago. That's a story for another time. They had it on the floor. And like a mock-up version of it. I think I took a picture of it. It might still be on my phone, but it wasn't as scary as I remembered.
No, it's like it's like a rubber suit on top of a rug with a guy who lays underneath it, right?
Yeah, who shuffles along. But it
shuffles along.
But it's a good episode, and the fact that it stayed with me and I remembered it for a really long time. There's about 10 of the original series episodes that I could talk about just off the hat. And that would definitely be one of them.
That's what it's called. The alien's called the Horta.
The Horta. There we go.
And I knew plenty of Hortas in my life. Anyways.
Topic for another time.
Yeah.
George, what else have you seen this week, TV or film?
Well,
Did you want to talk about that other movie you mentioned?
I was just going to say, Spinning Gold.
Yeah, Spinning Gold. Tell us about that.
Well, it's about the history of Casablanca Records, how they had a rough time getting started being an independent record label against all the biggies, but eventually they found success when the guy who ran the thing, what was his name? Give me just one little second to look that up.
I've got the IMDb. Neil Bogart, played by Jeremy Jordan.
Okay, so Neil Bogart. He had to find the right hook to get people interested in Kiss and Donna Summer. Now, on the surface, it sounds like it would make a pretty cool movie, and the trailer looks really cool. I mean, you figure it's going to be like this really cool movie with all this 70s music and whatnot. Well, for starters, they don't use the original songs. They have the actors who are portraying the artists perform the songs. So basically, we're getting cover versions, which were okay. The movie itself, I didn't think was any good. Very disappointing. I just felt like the narrative got out of control. The director, Neil Bogart's son, to be coincidentally or not coincidentally.
Yeah, I'll see that.
The narrative got out of control, and they really downplayed Neil's darker side. Like, they kind of gloss over his cocaine addiction, and they kind of gloss over his first marriage ending because he was fooling around with somebody else who he ended up marrying, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line, it's just really a disappointing movie. There's a good movie to be had there, and it should be a documentary about Casablanca.
How was Jason Isaacs? I'm assuming as he's playing Al Bogart.
He played the father, a gambling addict. His character is very one-dimensional.
Okay, that's a shame. He normally brings something of value to anything he's in. He's a great actor.
He was fine. It was the script that let him down. There's like zero character development for anyone other than Neil Bogart, and even then, that's questionable.
That's a shame, because I normally like these kinds of, like I'm a big fan of the movie Studio 54.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I actually prefer the original. I've got both the director's cut and the studio cut, and it's the one time I actually prefer the studio cut. There's a really emotional shot that they used at the end with Steve Rebell, played by Michael Myers, standing in the booth, and it's being narrated over about how he came back to the club one more time but that he was just there as a token thing, and he's kind of in shadow, and it's like he's near death, and it was really effective. And that's not in the director's cut. That shot, that ending isn't there. And I was like, well, you took that out. That was great. So, but I digress. Interesting poster.
Yeah.
With this big sort of gold hand on it.
With the middle finger up, kind of a...
Yeah, I missed, kind of missed that the middle finger. They should have incorporated that finger as the L, or I don't know. This seems like that poster's a bit naff. So the son of the real guy directed it, which kind of means you're not going to get.
There's some bias there.
You've got bias there. So he's previously directed. He's got 8 directing credits. I'm just curious to see what else he's directed.
Right now you're on the producer side.
Yeah, how did that happen? Oh, there we go. Right, okay. So,
Life Flight, Trauma Center, Houston.
Right, okay, which is, I'm not a big fan of that show. I haven't seen it. He's directed before, so fair enough. He has directed. He's done 5 episodes of Born Free and 2 episodes of the Jungle Book TV show. I do remember those coming out. I never saw them. So I was thinking, is it his first ever, go at doing this kind of thing? But no, but yeah, perhaps it should have been put in the hands of someone who could have done a more honest portrayal, shall we say?
Someone a little more objective.
Did he write it too?
I believe he did.
He did.
Okay. Yeah.
And solely, he's got the sole writing credit, so he's got no excuse.
If you look at the credits, there's other Bogarts working on the movie too.
Right. I always like to look at the titles of IMDb reviews. Fool's Gold, weak. That's the Cartman there. Walked out after 20 minutes. Just awful. Atrocious. $27 million mess. Jesus, was that
okay? That sounds about right. It's a
things
mess.
I could do with that budget on a movie.
The ultimate vanity product.
Ultimate
production.
Vanity production. Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. So 10 out of 10. Amazing. Let's see how many reviews this person has done. Look at that. It's the only one. What a surprise. I wonder who wrote
Well, you
that.
gotta get your start somewhere. Might as well be on Spinning Gold.
Well, indeed. 137 minutes of overt nonsense and thin plot, bad wigs and terrible acting. And then it's great. You see, contrasting that down here, you've got Jeremy Jordan takes the film and the character for himself, surprising in a performance that has yet to be seen, and in a way, dirty, naughty. And see, this sounds like someone who reviews films all the time. Let's see how many other films they've done. Look at that. Only one. What a surprise. God, you would have thought they'd done loads of reviews.
I really feel like you're just getting lucky with these, Lance.
I don't know. I'm quite good at spotting fake reviews, I like to think. Okay, so basically, George, out of 4, what did you give it?
I ended up giving it 2 stars. It had...
That sounds generous.
Well, it had... All right. It's like... I like the era. Okay.
Yeah, I love that era too.
I'm interested in stories that take place in that era, and they recreate it fine. It's just the movie itself. Well, for one thing, it's boring. Right. I didn't even mention that. At 137 minutes, it's like it feels like it's stretched out. But at the same time, there's so much story to tell. They could have utilized the time better. I give it 2 out of 4 stars. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but honestly, this could have been so much better. And I was looking forward to it too. I went out of my way to see it. I went to a theater that's, well, let's just say it's not conveniently located. So
do you think it suffered because of time as well, that it went too long? Maybe they could have edited some of that stuff down.
I'm not sure if that would have even
okay. It's just bad storytelling.
It sounds like it needed more meaningful scenes that zoom in on George's head. We love your camera playing around. He can't control the zoom on his phone. It's just out of control all the time, which makes it always entertaining when George is on. All right, I'm going to talk about a show I watched briefly, which, having sat back and watched the whole thing, I also am not massively impressed with it. It's got a lot it's got a lot more to give it credit for than perhaps the one we've just discussed. I watch a lot of Australian drama, and this show, which just dropped the other day with Matt Day, who's one of my favourite Australian actors, he's on the far left there. It's called In Our Blood. It's the true story of how Australia's government and the various characters that are in and around it responded to the AIDS epidemic in the sort of mid to late 80s. The 4 episodes span a period of, I think, kind of from 85 to 95, something like that. And you've got various gay characters who are on the front line, and then you've got the various government characters trying to do their thing. And the band played on This Is Not, okay? If you've seen the film and the band played on, and if you haven't, you should. It's an absolutely fantastic movie starring Matthew Modine on the same subject from the American perspective, based on the book by Randy Shilts. It's a fantastic book. That is a great film about the American reaction. It's incredibly moving. I can't believe how badly maligned that film was when it came out, and how negative the reviews were, because it's a fantastic movie. One of HBO's kind of first of its kind. This is really weird because you have a company. It's like a stage. It's like watching a stage play. You have a company of about 12 actors who are extras who appear in every scene, and it's set up that you can't see the gay people at work because we're not out, but we're everywhere. And I kind of liked that idea and thought that was interesting. But they start and end every episode with a song, and then the rest of the show is all played completely straight, like a normal drama, but with loads of exposition and people making lots of big statements to give you the next kind of factual thing that happened. So it feels like it wanted to be a musical, and then they said, yeah, well, we'll just do that at the beginning and the end, and then we'll just the rest of it we're all going to play completely straight. So tonally it is all over the place, and therefore the performances are pitched differently with different cast members and are very uneven. Everyone's good. There isn't anybody rubbish in it. Everyone is good. Everyone's acting their heart out because it's a very serious topic and it's got a number of moving scenes. But it's like, oh, we're coming up to the end of the episode now because someone's kind of setting up a song and the extras are kind of popping up again and they're setting up. And I'm like, I was really into that last scene. It was very moving. And now you've put me back in theatre again. So it's an odd one. You know, I watch these things because I lost my closest cousin to the AIDS epidemic, who passed away on my birthday in, I think it was 1992. I just got back from seeing Steven Seagal's Under Siege, and there was a letter waiting for me from Denmark to say that he died, so I'll never forget it. But so I'm always interested to see how these subjects are handled, and there's a lot of really heroic stories to be told, and some of them are in this show. But I think there was a better show to be made about this topic from the Australian perspective. It feels like this should have been on stage the way they wanted to do it. I'm not sure that it works as effectively as it could as a TV show. So I can't wholeheartedly recommend it, but if you've got a passing interest in the subject or you like your Australian actors, you might want to check it out. And I think I saw one other movie this week, which I'll mention briefly, and then that's me probably done. What was it? The fact that I did a separate review of it. I saw Rye Lane, which is a British. I did an instant gut reaction review, which is on my channel. You can check it out. It's just a quick 20-minute review. It's a sort of beautiful rom-com that is actually feels very fresh and original. It's got some very funny, sort of imaginative cutaways to people picturing scenarios in their heads. You know, it's got that kind of humor where you'll see what the characters are thinking, and then it'll cut back to the scene. It's basically about a young sort of couple in, I think they're supposed to be in their early 20s. He's crying in the toilets at a art museum. She overhears him. They have a conversation, and then later they meet up and spend the day together. It's very kind of, don't know if you guys are fans of the Sunrise trilogy, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight.
Yeah, those are good movies.
Ethan Hawke. It's very much in that that milieu, and the actors are really that. If you're going to do a film like that, it all depends on the casting of your two leads, and the script's got to be at least decent. Fortunately, the script is for the most part very good, and the two actors are brilliant together. Their chemistry's excellent. So I definitely do recommend it if you like that kind of movie. It is talking heads, but it's very cleverly directed. It's quite a young team behind it, and I think they did a really good job. So David is asking, will you be watching? I can tell you the answer to George's answer will be yes, because he watches absolutely everything. Will you be watching The Last Kingdom, Seven Kings Must Die, when it's released on the 14th? I'm so excited. Is that part of the Last Kingdom TV show? Is that like a spin-off movie, or is this a completely separate thing?
I don't know. I've never seen The Last Kingdom. I've never watched that.
So The Last Kingdom is a British Hungarian co-production TV show that's on its 4th or 5th season now. I've seen the first 2 seasons. My friend Jason Flemyng is in the first episode, not for very long because he gets his head lopped off. It's all about sort of the early comings and goings of various people coming into the UK and invading it and killing monks and the various clans gathering together. It's very Vikings. It's in that kind of.
I was about to say it looked like to me very Vikings-esque.
Yeah, I mean, it's a neat. You guys haven't watched The Last Kingdom, no?
Not yet. It's on my watch list.
Yeah,
I'm definitely catching to it.
It gets a lot better from season 2 onwards, because you can tell they got more money and had a bit more faith behind it once they realised they had a fan base and it was going to go for more than one season.
Just like Vikings.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's why the first season got commissioned. Absolutely. George, have you seen anything else?
That's about it.
No other TV shows?
Well, I mean, I watched last night I watched the FBI shows. It was a 3-way crossover between all the FBI shows. FBI International, FBI Most Wanted.
My God, that sounds like torture.
It was pretty cool, actually. I like those kinds of shit.
Is that like, kind of like all their real cases and that kind of stuff?
It's in the same universe, actually, as Law and Order. I believe Benson showed up in one of those.
Oh, you mean the drama series FBI?
Yes.
Oh, I watched the first season of that. Everybody was looked like a supermodel in it. Every agent is like stunningly good looking, and
that's not like how it is here.
In the same universe.
Here all the FBI agents look like they're going to an American cookout.
FBI, Law and Order, and the Chicago shows, they're all in the same universe.
No way, the Chicago shows are part of that too?
Benson and Voight, they've shown up on each other's show. They've worked together.
Yeah. Homicide: Life on the Street was also in that universe.
Yes, it
was.
The
actor that just passed away,
Richard Belzer.
Yeah, who I wanted to get on I actually wanted to get him on the show. I'd written to him, but I didn't realize he was dying from cancer at the time. He's the only actor who's appeared in, I think, every show until the ones that got commissioned after he left. He appeared in every single show in that universe.
I believe he did.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize the FBI. I guess anything produced by Dick Wolf is considered to be in that universe. I actually did watch the latest Law and Order episode. I just Law and Order feels reasonably grounded. It never steps out of its reality too much. The new one, Criminal Intent, is going a bit too. That's all going a bit too Born Identity / meets Scarface.
That's organized. I think you mean organized crime.
Right. Sorry, organized crime.
Criminal Intent was another Law and Order from years back. Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, organized crime. I'm not buying into that one too much.
You know, it's funny. So I watched that show, The Organized Crime, and it's decent. But I was catching some reruns of SVU from way back.
Yeah.
And one of them had Stabler on, and the difference between how he looks then and how he looks now, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I almost forgot the man once had hair.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What are you trying to say? You're trying to say, George.
Hey, look at this. Tiny top.
All right. Well, we're just scalp gifted is all.
Scalp
I wear a lot of
challenge.
hats, but I've still got hair at the minute.
Look at you, dude. Why you gotta show off?
Whatever.
It's your show and everything. I guess you can do that, but
but don't expect to be invited on my channel anytime soon.
Yeah, you hairless people, you.
Dude, listen, I've got a bald patch in the middle. Look, see, it's going.
That's not a bald patch. That's a solar panel for a sex machine.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's what's causing all that. Okay, I wonder.
There you go.
Wonder what was happening there. Thought I'd accidentally, drunk a casket of Viagra in my sleep. All right, so look, I think we've been going for a bit, so I think we'll probably wrap up. Yeah, we've gone longer than I said. We've gone an hour and 10 minutes. So, guys, what you got coming up? So, Copa, you got some streams coming up. You got the Star Trek thing, and
I'm on Roman and the Empire's Star Trek stream, which is in about 2 weeks. So look for me there. We're going to talk the rest of the Star Trek episodes we all picked. As far as streams this week, I am not back on the interwebs until Monday. Mischief Mayhem Movie comes back, my show with Cannoli Sasquatch, White Bear, who were both in the chat, and
I saw them.
Yeah, the lovely Vex Electronica. We all host a show Mondays where we critique whatever movie that catches our eye. So next week we come back with The Cable Guy. It's kind of funny. We start critiquing the movie and then it just devolves into all just us shooting the shit for 2.5 hours. So it gets really
15 minutes on Cable Guy, and then the rest of it will be on the controversy of Jim Carrey's sex life. And
exactly. Oh yeah, when he's burning his girl. Well, never mind. We were not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I got that, and then on my channel, I have the review of Mandalorian season 3, episode 6. Was this 6 or 7? I can't remember anymore. I'm coming out with the latest episode review. It was god awful. It is the show jumping the shark. I am going to torch this thing. I hope it never rises from the ashes when I'm done with it.
Well, we talked about that earlier. If you want to hear our thoughts on Mandalorian, go to the beginning of the stream. Well, if you ever want to get me on for one of those Monday night things, because I teach drama Monday nights, but that's my Monday night.
We'll get you on for True Lies, because I know that was
I'm a big fan of that, actually.
Yeah, I'll tell the guys we need to have you on as
the bad guy, the British actor who plays the bad guy in that film.
Mm-hmm.
He used to come into the cinema where I worked, and he would always come in. He'd always time it so he'd come in 30 seconds before the film started. He would always sit right at the back, and he would shoot straight out as soon as it finished, so no one ever saw him.
Right.
Because he just hated being stopped by the public. Because he did, I think it was A Passage to India or a big movie back in the early 80s. It was one of those films.
Was he in Passage to India?
I can't remember if it was. Let me look him up quickly. But he's a really nice guy, because I would chat to him, when he would come in, and he'd always say hello to me. And this is before. Oh my God! They did a TV series of True Lies.
Yeah. It's on CBS.
Is it bad?
It's worse than bad. I don't have an adjective to describe it right now. With this being almost a family-friendly show, but
it's not that family-friendly. You're all right. You can lay in.
No, I'm not going to go there. We're going to get kicked off YouTube. All of us will.
Well, True Lies has got 7.3 on IMDb, but True Lies the TV series has 5, so 5.2. The actor concerned is again they're pushing him down. I've got to get the full thing up. Well, he should be in the top 5 on coming up on here, and he's the main guy on it. We talked about him on another stream when I had Nabil Elouabi on, who's Art Malik is the actor we're talking about.
Art Malik.
And Nabil, the Asian actors and Indian actors that work in the UK, they all know each other, because they often are going up for the same gigs, or if it's a show with a very ethnically diverse cast, they might all be on the film, or so that the two of them go back a ways. And he did say to him, so True Lies, why did you play the terrorist in that? Bearing in mind, this is before 9/11, so it wasn't as uncool to play a terrorist then.
Right.
And he went, oh, well, simple, man. £1 million.
Right.
I mean, you know, I'd play a terrorist for £1 million if you were paying me that.
Yeah,
So,
I heard he didn't really enjoy that role because he was playing a
no, he
terrorist.
didn't.
But
he
the
was in a
scratch.
passage. He was
Ooh,
in a
that's-
passage to India. That's him, the doctor that gets accused. He's in a
Is he?
passage. Yeah,
Is that
he's in
him?
a passage to India. That's him.
So he got to work with David Lane.
He was
Yeah.
also in City of Joy with Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the show that he got recognised from, I think mostly for in the UK, would be the TV show The Jewel in the Crown, because that was a huge, big TV event, mostly only watched by the middle classes and the types of people that used to live over there during the the time of the Raja or whatever they call it. But I didn't watch it, but I could always hear my parents watching it and the theme tune coming on. And of course, he was in the Bond film The Living Daylights as well. So,
I remember that.
Yeah,
I just don't remember him in Passage to India, but it's been a while since I've seen Passage to India.
Yeah,
Man,
I mean,
so good.
if memory serves me correctly, he's either a lawyer in it. I think he's the lawyer, not the teacher. I think he's the lawyer that defends the teacher, if I remember rightly. Defends the guy. No, that's him in Cabinet QC. I can't remember. I saw Passage to India not that long ago, actually, because I like watching old films that I found boring as a kid that I think I might find interesting now, and that was one of those. But anyway, no, there's no pictures of him that I can see. He's only got a few pictures on his IMDb. Sort it out, Art. Really. All right. Well, look, guys, thanks a lot for coming on. It's always cool when I've got people on here. And I'm doing these every Wednesday, apart from when the play's on in the first week of June. Or if I've got to do any extra rehearsals with my cast, we start in a couple of weeks. But otherwise, these are every Wednesday. So any Wednesday you guys can make it, do come on. Because George has always seen the latest cinema releases in the States. You will have always seen the latest science fiction TV releases from 1973, Copa. So between us, we can cover everything, I think. And so it just remains for me to say thanks to my guests for coming on, and Copa for racing home, and those people that tuned in. And we'll see you all again real soon. I'll be back next Wednesday. I've got an interview next Wednesday with the biographer of the book about the films of Walter Hill. So he's coming on, and we'll be talking all things Walter Hill next Wednesday.
You need to just go for it and get Walter Hill on here.
Oh, well, that would be my next choice if I could. Yeah. He's still directing, which is amazing. He's still directing.
If we're talking Walter Hill, I'll be here for sure.
Everybody will want to be on that stream if I can get Walter Hill on. So the Critical Drinker got Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I can't wait to check that out for a little bit before I got.
Yeah, he got Russell Crowe, but hey, we got Wanda D and Free.
That's true.
So,
yeah. Maybe you could get the cast of Tough Turf on here and get Robert Downey Jr. to talk his time on Tough Turf.
Oh man, yeah. Somehow I don't think that's going to happen. James Spader would be great guest to have.
That would.
I'm a big fan of Blacklist, so.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's it from us. So we're signing off. We'll see you all again next week.